I'm Jenny-Jaymes and my sidekick, Christian Cano, partner in crime, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jim's sidekick. Welcome to Two Queers in a Truck. Hi y'all.
See you soon. All right. Good morning. It is Two Queers in a Truck time, and we're walking through May. It is May 15th. If you're seeing this,
Wow.
drops, which I mean has been a general theme for 2024, which is cool because it gets a little nuttier and it gets a little, it's just a little. This is going to be a bizarre year.
Yep.
I've resolved myself to believe it's going to be a 401 fucked up year, and we're in a presidential year, but we're not in a normal presidential year because it's like a sequel. They made a really good hit movie in 2020, and they want to milk it. It's like the search for more money, and so we're getting this presidential sequel, a matchup of two political heavyweights, and then we've got all the accoutrement that goes with presidential races, and we're having protests, and we're having this, and we're having that, and it's a very typical political year, but it's also not, and there's a lot at stake. But good morning, and this is Jenny and Christian, and it's Two Queers in a Truck, mid-May, May 15th, and we're going to jump right into the first topic, which is, honestly, it's kind of bizarre. So that one of the Kennedy cousins, one of the younger ones, I think his name is, I don't even remember, it is taking pot shots at RFK Jr. running for president, and the whole family's embarrassed by RFK Jr. Like he's going on talk shows talking about conspiracy theories and brain worms. He's disclosed he's had hepatitis C, mercury poisoning, and dead worms in his brain, and he just gets a little nuttier with each appearance, and we all know that he's just a Trump stooge. He's just trying to race and make it a three-way race so that Trump even has a chance to beat Biden, because we all know if everybody comes out in force like we did in 2020 or a little bit more because of the abortion issue, Biden's going to win a landslide. If we just everybody does their part and we reboot last time, there's not really a mathematical chance of Trump winning. And that's even if he's eligible to run. He's got a lot of trials between now and November. So but just about anything can happen. But yeah, this Kennedy was on a beach, openly making fun of his cousin, and he's the son of Caroline Kennedy, which, is, Kennedy royalty. And he's doing these reels and these TikToks, and he just is mocking Kennedy's voice. He's mocking everything about Kennedy. He's doing different imitations, and he's being a typical TikTok 20-something. And I think the whole Kennedy family is just tired of the RFK clown show, and they're trying to tell him, like, dude, you don't have any more of a chance than Ted Kennedy did in the 1970s. Like, once you go off to the crazy town or you kill somebody like Ted Kennedy did or whatever, you kind of shouldn't run for president. Just like Jeb Bush, like even his own mom, Barbara Bush, said, "We've already had two Bushes in the White House. It's plenty. Like we like she didn't even endorse Jeb. Like she just said basically, Jeb, don't run, don't embarrass the family, sweetie." The Kennedys are kind of saying, please, dear God, don't tarnish your dad's legacy by you running as a clown show, by you being a huge for a potential American dictator. Like, he's like our Hitler. Like, we don't need Kennedy running interference for somebody that's just an absolute nut job. That's probably not going to stop him. Like, appealing to his decent side when you don't have a decent side is kind of hard to do. But it's kind of wild. And the things surrounding RFK Jr. is just wild. It's just every time he goes on a talk show, he just says something just a little nuttier than the time before. And you're like, oh, you probably shouldn't have said that. Like, he's like an older white male version of Christy Noem, the governor of South Dakota. Like, the more she talks, the less you want to listen. You're just going to go, let me change the channel on that. let me not listen to that. That's going to give me brain worms. I would rather.
What do you mean brain worms? Did he say that?
So he disclosed some previously undisclosed medical things. It was in the New York Times.
Okay.
And RFK Jr. says doctors found a dead worm in his brain, including a parasite that ate part of his brain, which would kind of explain the way he acts.
Yeah, that makes.
It wouldn't be necessarily that deal, but he said he experienced memory loss and mental fogness that was so severe. And he consulted several neurologists, and they'd also treated his uncle, Edward Kennedy, for brain cancer. And so, they thought, it could be cancer, it could be a tumor, there's a lot of brain afflictions, and things that. But ultimately, they found a dead parasite in his head, which is kind of ironic. That, RFK Jr.
Why would he tell people that?
I don't know, because there's no gain, and
yeah, I mean, trust me, I had brain worms.
Yeah. Well, and on top of it, he tried to sell himself as the younger of the three big white candidates.
Yeah.
And, his athleticism and his youth, because he's only 70 years old versus 77 or 81. And he's like, trying to be the young whippersnapper, which he isn't really, but Kennedy, and they always believe their own bullshit. And so, it's a really weird thing. RFK Jr. is just a weird dude. Like, he's just, I just think he did a tremendous amount of drugs when he was young. It's my take that he came from a family of money, and he probably ripped roared through his 20s and 30s. There's probably no talent he experimented with when he was young. And then he became this attorney, and then he became this really serious adult, and, now he's anti-vax. All these kind of weird things. And you just go, maybe you should just stick to law. Maybe you just stick to being famous and coming from a famous family. Another crazy news, TikTok is now suing the United States. And so they said, oh, no, you didn't, and snatched that wig back and said, the cool kids love us. We think this is violating our First Amendment right. And they're probably correct. Like, I think it's a pretty effed up thing to put a criteria on TikTok when Trump's company, his social media company, was also financed by Chinese people and Chinese investors. And to put just because it's run by a former president doesn't mean that it's any more legitimate than TikTok. And TikTok's a well-run company. And I mean, I look at its content, and maybe social media is what you make of it. It's not real life. It's a reflection of what you search. The algorithm works as such that if you search out shiny outfits, you're going to get profiles that show you tons of shiny outfits. If you search out drag queens, you will probably find a lot of ads and a lot of pages that discuss drag queens in some form or fashion. And I think the other side that wants to control social media and manipulate it for their benefit, the conservatives, they know that their bullshit's not true, but they still want it to be true because they want to play the victim. And they want to go, oh, that big mean TikTok, it punched me in the face, and it kept me from winning a presidency or whatever because I want to lie about shit, and the TikTok teens aren't going to let me do that. And TikTok is just one of those platforms that's super aggressive. It's a video story. It's for people that are creative. It's a great platform, and the ability to go on and do impromptu videos and really make a point. It rewards very creative people, and you can see it because I've seen some videos that I'm going, wow, that was impressive, and some that are like that crazy lady in North Carolina that was talking about she smelled like a dirty Mexican. The TikTok didn't work out so good for her, like they all started calling her store and getting her shut down. But TikTok has that ability. It has the ability to lead a movement like Black Lives Matter or the current college protests, but it also can entertain. And it really, social media becomes what you want it to be. And it can be a platform for hate or it can be a platform for love. But unlike regular media like Fox News or something like that, that the narrative is controlled by the journalist or the people in the programming deal, it's power to the people. And it's funny how conservatives will embrace X or Twitter or whatever name it's going by these days because there's a conservative running it. But you get somebody that's a little bit more progressive like TikTok, and a little bit they're not gonna stifle free speech as much, and on the other way, and they're not gonna allow terrorism, and they take a hard line towards like Proud Boys and stuff like that. They don't want that on that platform. And I think a lot of it is that they can't get away with the crap they can pull on Twitter. And so again, it's one of those things. Give me that shiny ball back. Like I want that ball back, like a 3-year-old. Like you're playing with my toy. You're playing with my sandbox, and it's a very immature, very hypocritical. I mean, not, like MAGA's being hypocritical is not shocking. I mean, like it's not coming out of nowhere. I mean,
yeah,
it's just like everything else, whether it's the anti-immigration, whether it's anti-women, whether it's anti-LGBT, it all comes from the same idiocy, and you're not safe. Hell, you're not even safe if you're a puppy around conservatives anymore. You end up getting unalived by vice presidential possible candidates, like that's a resume builder or something. And we're going to talk more about her too, because she just keeps doubling down. She is not backing off. Like I just saw a CNN interview with her, and she literally is going to die on that hill.
Yeah,
and so her puppy, but it's kind of wild. It's kind of wild that she really wants to be Trump's nominee, and she doesn't want to completely say she wants to be the nominee, but she's not denying she even wants to be. But MAG is getting weird. MAG is getting fucking weird. It's getting weirder than usual. But we are up against our first break, and we'll be right back with some more Two Queers and a Truck. Hey guys, I've got a special product out, and we've got a store under the name blueappliedtech.com, and you can go on our Etsy store, you can go on our social media, and you can check out our merchandise. We have some amazing snowflake Trump mugshot ornaments. We have mugs, we have pillow covers, we have a lot of cute stuff for the holiday season that you can buy, and it's great fun, and it goes to a good cause. It goes to my company, and it's helping us out getting started. And also, who doesn't want a historic snowflake Trump ornament?
exactly.
Here,
That's funny. What's the name of it again?
And the name of the company is Blue, like the color blue, applied APPLIED tech, like technology.
Blue Applied Tech. Ah, cool.
And so you can look us up. We have a website, but our stores on Etsy, and a lot of people use Etsy for different types of great gifts. They are assembled in the United States, so it creates American jobs. And most of all, it's a lot of fun, and they're not expensive.
Cool.
So,
Blue Applied Tech. Got it.
Correct. Come seek us out and buy some gifts.
Cool.
Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers in the Truck on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye, boo. Happy time. And we are back. And it's just, they're getting a little crazier. I never thought it was possible. And speaking of Christian Cano, she went on CNN and she just talks past the reporter. I don't even remember the reporter's name. And she just sits there and says, well, and just goes right into her talking points. Like she reads part. She can't even address that there was other options other than keeping the dog or shooting the dog.
Yeah.
And she's eliminated all the things in between, like adopting it out, rehoming it, maybe taking it back to the place you got it, like all the above. Like there's no other option that she either had to go out and assassin style, just go out and take it out in the country and just shoot it. Like this was some kind of rabid dog, like it was Old Yeller Part 2. We just got to put it down, Timmy, and it just, I'm like, no, there's other options. No, this is 2024 or whatever she did this. It's just kind of wild. And the fact that she really doesn't want to get it. She went to the same school of speech as Bobert and MTG. She just rattles off nonsensical points like some kind of authoritarian Barbie doll.
Yeah.
Like she has a little pull string, and then she goes, taxes are bad.
Yeah.
Books are mean. And she like, and that's all she's got. And she can't go off the script. She can't address anything that requires thinking. And she's petrified because she knows this issue ain't going to go away. There's too many dog lovers.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is some psycho shit. This is,
but not just the dog thing, Jenny. I saw yesterday, I know we taped this a week ahead, but she was on Newsmax, and that's a really MAGA network.
Yeah.
And the Newsmax guy got very frustrated with her because exactly what you said. He was asking her about her when she said or allegedly she says in the book that she met with Kim Jong-un or whatever his name is. And now she's saying it was an antidote that shouldn't have been put in there. And he kept asking her, did you meet with him? And she kept saying, well, I'm not going to talk about my meeting with world leaders and this. And he said, well, you didn't meet with the world leader. He said, why can't you just say, I didn't meet with him? And he got really mad at her. And he basically said, before you were in the top running to be vice president, but if you were to be announced today, I don't think you'd be considered. And she said, why would you say that? Trump is the one who's going to make the decision. And then she went on to her talking points. But she's even upsetting the Newsmax people because she won't answer a bit. I get why she won't answer it, because she has to basically say, I lied about meeting him. I didn't really meet him. She's trying to blame it was an antidote and it shouldn't have been put in there. It's like, it's just that. But we know that, Jenny. The whole MAGAs, their whole shtick is never admit you made a mistake, never apologize, because in their mind that shows strength, but really it shows idiocy.
Yeah. Well, you can only, and especially, it'd be one thing if it was a news article that she didn't play a part in writing. Exactly. And we all know the crayons out and her little tablet, and she scratched out some notes, and then the ghostwriter came in and wrote it for her because there was no way she could write a book. She's got the depth of knowledge of a kiddie pool from Walmart, and so we know that she's not an intellectual giant. You can just say hi to her and stump her for an answer at this point. If it goes off her script, or I use this example all the time, the dumber quarterbacks in the NFL, they would have to put little notes on their wrist to remember their plays. Mm-hmm. And these are plays they ran for 20. Once you've played football for a certain amount, you should be able to understand basic playbooks. There's only so many plays you can run in football and in basketball too. And a 5 down or a 50 gap or whatever. And they're all kind of universally the same. The terminology might be slightly different. But if you're a quarterback, just like a political candidate, if you can't get off topic and show your depth of knowledge, it's probably because the depth of knowledge isn't there. You can't pull in a resource you don't possess. And I'm not saying she's dumb, but I do think she has a history of making some really bad decisions. And if that should come into play, if you're applying for a vice president's job, you still have to wait for the nomination to happen, and you're proving that you can't handle the heat and answer questions, what's going to happen when you get on the campaign trail? Because they went after Kamala last time in 2020, and they've been going after her for 4 years. And Kamala has faded the heat and done really well. Let me tell you something. She's used to that South Dakota bubble where she can, she's no disparagement to South Dakota. I mean, it is a shithole. I wouldn't want to live there myself. There's nothing, I think about South Dakota and I think about, wood chippers and weirdos and just, I've been out in that part of the world. It has no appeal to me. There is nothing about South Dakota or North Dakota. Arkansas and Mississippi have more of an appeal to me, and they absolutely don't have an appeal to me at all. But I would come more living in Arkansas or Mississippi than two flyover states like that. And she's the governor of one of them. And her state has a smaller population than Mecklenburg County, to put it in perspective. It's a dump. Nobody wants to live there, obviously. Out of 330 million Americans, less than 1 million people live in the entire state. And the rest is just probably nervous dogs. And I mean, nothing's worse than being a dog in South Dakota right now. They're like, man's best
I like
friend.
that one.
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not making any accusations. She wrote in a book, but she's written things down and then wants to pretend they didn't get written down, like Trump did with the Art of the Deal when people called it out and said, you're really German, but you put Swedish in the book. And when we see these red flags, and this is the one thing I don't like about modern media, is that so many times we've glossed over these red flags. Like in 2016, when he mocked the special needs reporter, when he called that judge, the way he said Mexican, and that Mexican judge is scammy Ponzi scheme, fake university trial. When he said all the things, to grab them by the pussy, all these things, we should have did a full stop. That should be e-break time on the freeway. Maybe we should figure out a different nominee for a major political party and just chalk this election up to Hillary's election. And we should have, as a people, we shouldn't tolerate this. We shouldn't tolerate lowest common denominator. And I think even the conservative media looks at somebody like Christian Cano that is not Republican royalty. She's not been at the top of the food chain. She comes from a state that is definitely a flyover state, and a state that doesn't really matter too much in the electoral college. And I think they realize they can sacrifice her, that their standards should be higher than that. And even though they're Republicans, if they nominate somebody like Christian Cano, I think that just is another way of saying the party's dead, that it's soulless. That if you put something, a mouth breather like that up is the second. one wheezing heart attack or one cheeseburger away from being president.
Yeah.
Because let's talk about Trump's health. The dude's nuttier than squirrel turds. He's got some sort of mental. He's not. His elevator's not hitting the top anymore. Like you can
I
see
agree.
the ramps. Definitely Farticus isn't the epitome of physical health.
You know what, Jenny? You're exactly right. You cannot be even a MAGA person and rag about Biden's age and how old he is and how much you don't want Kamala because voting for Biden is really just voting for Kamala because she'll be president. You can't say that and then at the same time vote for Trump knowing she would be president
Yeah.
because that makes no sense because she's actually, I think she is faker than Sarah Palin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, Sarah Palin was kind of that mode. They were just looking for that face, and they didn't really care how problematic she was.
Right.
You're right. She's like in the image of MTG and Boebert and all of the MAGA women elected officials. They look for this face, and they just want them to play this role. Like, okay, play smart. In order for you, how do I play smart? Just answer these questions like this.
Right.
But if you get off script, it frustrates them. Because she basically told the NBC lady or whoever, CBS, whoever, she was on a bunch of shows, one of them almost, and I'm kind of mocking her. Why are you picking on me? You don't ask other people hard questions like this. Why are you interrupting me? It was like, oh no.
And she's the worst part of politics because when you take somebody irretrievably dumb like Christy Noem, Boebert, when they're out of their depth, and I'm not just picking on the female candidates, there's male candidates too that say unbelievably stupid things. I mean, Trump does all the time. And you look at them, or a Matt Gaetz, that you just look at him and go, Rapey McForehead is just not, he just is not they're not sending their best and their brightest.
Yeah.
And I believe the Republican Party has better choices than Christy Noem. I think they have better choices than Trump, but I think they damn well have better choices than Christy Noem. And I think they thought, well, she'll kind of fly under the radar because she does live out in the sticks. And so her nuttiness come to mainstream America in time and we can just let her slide. But it's going, we kind of went through it from the 2016 election and we figured out you were a disaster before. And even Newsmax is calling you to the carpet and you are a dyed-in-the-wool MAGA. You've screwed up. Like, this is a bad decision. Like, NASA, we've got a problem. We're up against our second break, and we'll be back with more Two Queers in the Truck.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube. But you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Queers in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
She is a symptom of the party. She is a symptom of the disease itself, the MAGA mind brainworm disease that Kennedy clearly had and MAGA has. And they talk about liberals having a brain disease, but in mental health problems. That's like a pot calling the kettle black. Because if you even consider Christy Noem as a vice presidential candidate, like if you're even saying it in the same sentence, you've got a pretty messed up party. Like the old comedy thing from all the like country kind of stars. Here's your sign. Here's your sign that you are party of the stupid and the mouth breathers, and that you wear Speedos with red, white, and blue on it, but get mad when college students take down an American flag because they're embarrassed that we're funding genocide. And it was like, we live in a hellscape where we've got a possible vice presidential candidate who can go out and shoot a dog and actually brags about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we're mad at college kids because we always tell college kids to do better and be involved. And when they do better and be involved, we get mad at them. We go, oh no, we didn't want that. We want you to go to fucking Klan rallies and rubber stamp our candidates. We don't want you to have a think for yourself and oppose genocide. Like, we like funding genocide in this country. We're proud of our genocides. We've had a long history of genocide, starting with the indigenous population. And damn it, we do genocide better than anybody. America, we export that.
America.
Like, it's like guns and knives show. We got guns, we got knives, we got knives that look like guns and guns that look like knives. But we're good at genocide. We are good at exporting murder. Look at Vietnam, look at Iraq, look at Afghanistan. Ask those people. Oh, wait, there is several million less of those people. Because that's what we're good at. We love genocide. We usually either we commit to the genocide or we make sure we fund genocide. We've funded probably more genocides than the Soviet Union and China combined. We talk about what China does with the Uyghurs and the Islamic minority in China. And we say, oh, well, what about them? And I'm like, well, we got the same shit happening in our own country. It's just different people being targeted, but we do it all the time. And it's like a Gatling gun or fuckery. If it's not, they're not going after Hispanic people, they're going after black people. If they're not going after black people, they're going after queers. If they're not going after queers, they're stripping women of every right and turning them into second-class citizens and breeding stock. Like, I'm like, you don't have to worry about the Uyghurs over in China, even though we probably should. We've got our own human rights violations, and not to mention puppies in South Dakota. Like, I mean, the only person more vulnerable in this country between drag queens, trans people, and women is any canine inside the South Dakota borders, because we all know that these jackasses like to flex. They like to shoot beer cans because they're really brave, and the big scary beer cans and the trans girls just scare them so much they have to shoot beer cans. But college students taking down an American flag because it's shameful to fly an American flag with a university that funds murder of babies. They just had to dig like kids out of a school that got bombed yesterday in Rafa. But that's okay, because that's what we do. And it's just kind of wild. We live in a world where we're having, so Panera Bread, it's kind of a kooky story, and it's kind of a lighthearted story, and we've got about 2 minutes to kill in this segment. They're pulling all their highly caffeinated, they call them supercharged lemonades.
Yeah, then people have heart attacks or something.
So 2 people did
allegedly
have wrongful death lawsuits. The Panera's being sued by 2 different individuals that had heart attacks because they drank the lemonade. Now, it could be that they also drank, 50 pounds of sugar with these lemonades, because these lemonades are they're highly caffeinated, but I do, they probably have quite a bit of sugar in them, because I've partaken of these lemonades myself. And yes, they are caffeinated. They are crack. Yeah. But I'm probably sure they probably had a big old bowl of mac and cheese and some other things, and probably a cookie. And
a couple of Red Bulls.
And a couple of Red Bulls, and like, we're all gagged out on food, starches, sugar, and they wonder why they had a fucking heart attack. And they want to blame it on these lemonades. And I'm not saying, I'm no doctor, but I'm going to say it was probably more than just the lemonades. Like, it may have been the last thing that pushed them off the bad. But I'm going to say, not all Panera. I mean, Panera does really healthy salads and other things like that. But Panera also does flatbread pizzas, and they do mac and cheese. They don't, like, they're not a complete health food place. And if you're consuming milligrams and milligrams of caffeine and sugar, and then wash it down with cookies and mac and cheese, you probably didn't have a real conducive lifestyle towards healthiness. You're probably not out. They probably weren't on their way back from a good jog of 4 or 5 miles. They weren't doing a 5K more than likely. I'm not casting any aspersions, but I'm guessing that both of these people had a lot of health issues, and that the last bit of lemonade was just that last thing right before they were going to have a heart attack, whether they went to Panera that day or not. And that's kind of what the article says, is more or less, consider the source. We don't want to make any accusation, but there's been some medical doctors that kind of look at the case and they're going, Panera's probably going to win.
So they're pulling so you can't get it at all now?
No, they're pulling all the highly caffeinated drinks. They're going to probably roll out a lower caffeinated version and rename it. They're going to rebrand it and all that. The regular sodas, fountain drinks, their normal iced teas are going to stay the same. But it was a specialized amount of these. They were in these little like tea looking containers, and they were quite good. They had all these different specialty flavors. They had more than just lemonades, but they're all really highly energy drink caffeinated. Like they'd added extra caffeine to these things. And they were pretty dang good. And, you pay one price, Panera is one of those places where you self-serve. And you could go up there and it was like getting all jacked up on Mountain Dew and throwing chips, war medals, type thing. It was like you become a spider monkey after about 4 or 5 of these. Like,
because now I want to try one.
They were fucking good. Like I've noticed that they pulled them from all the stores because I've been in a Panera recently and I saw all the little containers were gone. So I was kind of disappointed, but it was liquid crack. I'm not going to lie that it didn't give me a heart attack or anything.
Yeah.
But you drink you get the big cup from Panera that's like a gallon of something.
Yeah.
And then you drink 3 or 4 of those in a sitting. Like if you sit at Panera and dawdle on your phone and use their free Wi-Fi and all that and eat a couple cookies, you're pretty cracked out by the time you leave. Like I can feel, when you get highly caffeinated and you're like, good. It's one of those type things. But really interesting news in the scouting world. So Boy Scouts of America changed their name this week, and they've gone through a massive, just like the Catholic Church in different parts of the country went through their pedophile priest trials anywhere from the 1990s up until recently. They've made several movies. Even Michael Keaton did a movie on it.
Yep.
Boy Scouts of America, were also known as the BSA, changed their name officially for the first time in like 110 years of its history. And it's now going to be called Scouting America, is what they did an exhaustive search. They pulled people inside the leadership. It's a huge organization. There's well over 1 million members. And they've been changing the name, wanting to change the name for several reasons. The BSA didn't just allow boys in the membership anymore. So you could be trans, you could be a girl, you could be whatever. Like scouting it turned into more of the same organization, the same giving back to the community, still doing good. But the name change reflects what the membership looks like. It's not just a bunch of Eagle Scout boys, like former president. Like President Eisenhower was an Eagle Scout. He went all the way up to the top ranking. There was a lot of American leaders that were Eagle Scouts at one time. I know several trans women that were Eagle Scouts right before they went into the military. And it's a great organization. And in fact, one of my closest friends and a business associate of mine, it went all the way through Eagle Scout. He's still in leadership, and so he's gotten tons of phone calls this week. And so it's a story that's close to home for me because I've been with him when he's been fielding the calls from all these people going, I don't know if I like the name, and because it's such a social media driven society we live in, everybody's opinion. Kind of like when we do a Hispanic Heritage Month show.
Exactly.
A white person. And most of our responses do not come from white people or from Hispanic people or Latinos or anything. It's usually some white guy from Moose Knuckle, Arkansas, or Pig's Knuckle, fucking Iowa, some wannabe pastor or whatever, they want to weigh in on Hispanic issues because they probably ate at a Taco Bell at some time in their lifetime. And so they weigh in and go, I ate at a Taco Bell. I love that Cinco de Mayo. I love man. And you go, okay, sweet cheeks. Like, first of all, slow your roll. If you haven't lived in a predominantly Hispanic or Latinx area, you don't know the culture. Second of all, if you're white passing you're white, have a seat. Have a seat. Do not speak for a community that has been consistently marginalized by a political party and a former president. Let's start there. Let's start with that baseline of understanding that it's a culture that I very much grew up in, and a culture that I have a ton of reverence and fondness towards, and I still do. It's one of the reasons we do the other show is that I'm a white privileged person that gets to do that show every week and be a part of the community and be an ally to the community. And I love immigrants. I come from a family of immigrants myself. I have that solidarity coming from grandparents that English was not their first language. And so I understand that dynamic. I can't understand what it would be to be Latino or Hispanic because I'm not. But I can understand the dynamic and the struggle and the fuckery that goes with being it's just the white people caucasity of just the craziness that we do in this country, because if something's different, we must kill it. We must we can't understand it. We'll just take the dog out and shoot it, and it's a pervasive dumbass low rent mentality that we have in this country that, well, we just gotta get rid of it. Like, we can't, but there's just one answer. When there's 31 flavors of answers, we got to pick the one that's the most violent and cruel, and that's what it comes down to. A lot of this stuff is just, and making a really big deal about the Scouts changing their name is so bizarre to me, when the name, and I mean, I didn't vote on it. I'm not part of the Scouts. I was in the Scouts just for a few years when I was a kid before I played sports ball. And sports ball took over my life, and I couldn't do both. And so I had to pick one. And I gave up scouting. But Scouting America is not that bad of a name. It's kind of patriotic.
I think it's a great name.
I think it's a great name, and it represents.
I think it's cool. Yeah.
It represents the brand now. And the scouting has become very diverse, especially amongst the young leaders that it produces. And the whole point of this whole exercise is just to strengthen and bolster the brand that has gone through a really rough time and a vicious lawsuit and a lot of controversy as it evolves into a 21st century modern organization, that its leadership is very diverse. The boards of directors, my friend Doug explained to me what's going on, and he says, and he's an openly gay male himself, and has been in leadership for 20 years with that organization. And he says it's more diverse than you realize if you haven't been a part of it. And Scouting America just represents a broader swath of, they were either going to do like Scouting USA or Scouting America. They picked America for whatever reason, I guess because it evokes a certain amount of patriotism. But it's just a name. At the end of the day, I mean, what does TikTok really mean? Or Google? Or like, we used to call people that were kind of idiots, yahoos, and that was the name of a company. Like, it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. What's a Panera? What's a Panera bread? What is a Panera? Nobody even knows what a Panera is. So it's not that big of a deal. And I hope people take a chill pill and just realize it's a cute name and it's modern and it's hip and life goes on. Like, you ain't going to die because Boy Scouts are Scouting America. Like, I hope that's your hardest problem to overcome in life. Like, thank your lucky stars that you're not getting 2,000-pound bombs dropped on your head like Palestinians. So that is it. That was the last segment of the day. And the show flew by. And we'll see you next week with some more Two Queers in a Truck. Bye, Boo.
Bye, Boo.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching Two Queers in a Truck. And we're almost up to Pride Month. And we're in the middle of May and enjoying life and enjoying the warm weather. But be safe out there because there is going to be crazy weather. It is spring storm season.
And the cicadas.
And the cicadas, the invasion of
the cicadas.
They're coming. They're coming. And all the summer bugs, too. Make sure you remember your off spray and everything else. And wear your sunblock. Have a great week. And we'll see you next week. Bye, Boo.
Bye, Boo.